to kick you in the back of the head. Chip, I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
Hi everyone, welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Mono Black Lurrus Aggro in the Timeless format. Now this deck's pretty straightforward. We're playing Lurrus, which gives us a constraint as a companion to permanents at mana value 2 or less, which is honestly not a big problem. But it gives us the ability to recast them once per turn from our graveyard. And so we just have a lot of potent aggressive threats like Cult Conscript and Evolved Sleeper. I especially like Evolved Sleeper because if we have excess mana we can pour it into it and just get more value and more power out of it. So it's just a good resource against mana flood. We also have like a pretty strong discard package with Inquisition and Thoughtseize. Then we also run in some Deep-Cavern Bat, so we can really shred the opponent's hand and just put them on the back foot long enough to close out the game with our aggressive creatures. Of course, we're running Orcish Bowmasters, one of the best cards in the format. Can also be recurred with Lurrus, and some Tenacious Underdogs for some extra punch in there. And then very importantly in this deck, we can run Dark Ritual to very strong effect. With all these aggressive creatures, we can put multiple out in turn 1 sometimes and really just turbo out some starts that really put the opponents in the back feet. So yeah, let's jump into some games. And look at this beautiful hand. I mean, this is why you play decks like this. Double Dark Ritual into emptying out all of our aggro threats. I mean, this is what Magic's all about right here. And this is going to show some of the strength of Evolved Sleeper because we're going to have a spare black mana by the end, which we can simply use to just level them up right away. So, I mean, not a bad turn 1, you know, just casual 7 power across 3 threats. So we'll see if the opponent can slow us down. They're going to crack a fetch and take down the sleeper with the fatal push. Alright, we're still attacking for 5 on turn 2, no big deal. Possibly can bring Lurrus to hand on turn 3. Alright, so opponent passes with 2 mana. That changes things though. Deep-Cavern Bat, seems like it's better to lead with that and possibly snipe a threat that they might have. So we'll lead with the bat. And they have Bowmasters. Bowmasters is incredibly strong against us. They're just going to snipe the bat right away. We will get to glimpse at their hand, but not take anything. So we see one ring, Liliana, and Deathrite. And you know, we're just going to send in. The opponent could double block. Anyway, so they end up just trading their token for our 2/1, which we can get back later. Opponent plays land, and I was shocked to see them not slam Liliana and minus her. So, but they opt for the Shaman plus Demonic Tutor, so maybe they're dreaming of bigger things. But that, yeah, that was the play. I didn't want to happen was Liliana being dropped. So, Orcish Bowmasters is an incredible draw here because we can blow up an attempt at a double block. All right, so just a chump block. Still pretty happy about that. And the opponent has to shelter their life total a bit because the ring's going to start draining it a lot. And so I could see why maybe they felt a little. Maybe Deathrite Shaman can help a little bit, but. And here we're seeing their painful mana base coming back to bite them a bit. It does appear that they're mono black, and the fetches are there to fuel Deathrite Shaman and Revolt for Fatal Push. With the ring on the stack, we're going to flash in Bowmasters to make sure we punish any card draw that happens. So we're just going to ding them. This opponent gets the ring protection. And they think about it for a bit and they activate right now. And it makes sense. So we can't ding them and can't kill Deathrite at this point. So an activation right now makes sense in that way. And also if they pull a Fatal Push, they can use Deathrite Shaman. So I could see why activating makes sense right there. Untapped land is pretty nice. We're almost ready to fire up Hive the Eye Tyrant. Could also bring Lurrus back. Now, playing the land right there I think would be a mistake. You could see I almost played it, but then I realized they have Liliana the Veil waiting in the wings. No attack there because they have ring protection. But we want to insulate our hand against Liliana the Veil's plus to make sure we don't just immediately lose Lurrus for no reason.
Happy to help. But I'm taking
okay, so opponent does slam Liliana and plus.
We all have things
and we took that into account, so Lurrus is going to presumably stay in our hand. and they pitch a Shieldred the Apocalypse. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Shieldred's a way they can actually recoup some life from all the card draw that they'd be doing. So I'm picking out which one to Edict, and yeah, they just pack it in. Like, things are going to get really nasty with them. The One Ring under Bowmasters. So please Amber Prison the like button, comment and subscribe. It supports the channel and helps you know what the people want. And we're already in the next game. Another Dark Ritual hand, not as potent as the last one, but still we're going to be able to get some disruption off our ritual mana. So Inquisition, we're obviously playing against Arclight Phoenix. Very easily going to take the Bolt here, because that leaves them with no interaction for our many threats. And so turn 1 we already have 3 power against them, and even Phoenix can't keep up with that. Alright, they're going to just do Faithless Looting, pitch a Phoenix, makes sense, and you know, we could play Sleeper and level up, decide just to play Underdog, just get extra power out there. And their painful mana base is coming back to bite them here because, I mean, they're at 13 and we have 6 power on board. And that spell is awesome because it's going to rebound and help them hit their 3 spell count for Phoenix next turn. And they can like rip a Treasure Cruise, but I mean, they're already at 7 life. And presumably they're running like extra fetches and stuff to fuel Treasure Cruises, so it could get ugly. I mean, we're already sitting here with 10 power on board, so they're gonna have to have something. I mean, even if they get a couple Phoenixes in play, they're gonna have to leave them on defense to not die. So we're feeling pretty great about this situation right here. All right, Lightning Axe, pitching it. A Demolich, that does change the equation. If they can get enough spells fired off to get Demoliches down to 0, but they end up just short, and that's pretty bad luck from the opponent's perspective. Like, they didn't get a land there, and maybe they did get a land and it was like a shock land and they just couldn't afford to put it in. So thinking about what to do here, just want, you know, playing correctly while ahead, you know, make sure you don't make any losing plays. Decide to level up the Sleeper here. We could have brought Lurrus to hand, but at this point we're not going to cast Lurrus. We're going to blitz a Tenacious Underdog from the graveyard, you know, so that's with the 4 mana available. And yeah, they can't even play their shock land and they pack it in. So Dark Ritual doing some work. Now I think I snap off this hand way too quickly. See a bunch of 1-drops in the land and like, yeah, let's do this. An opponent's going to hit us with Thoughtseize. And we'll see what they take. Interesting they took Thoughtseize. They're trying to protect something in their hand, and Thoughtseize bug strikes once again. We rip a Thoughtseize off the top, and we get to see what they're trying to protect, and we see some good stuff. Orcish Bowmaster seems the most potent against what we're trying to do, so we're definitely going to take that. The opponent hammers us with another Thoughtseize, and they take our Bowmasters. And you could see where this hand's starting to fall apart here. Like, we have a bunch of action, but we're just far too slow. And putting the 2-1 into play, because the Evolved Sleepers are too mana intense for what we have going on. And they drew another Orcish Bowmasters, so it's honestly looking pretty grim for us right now. Alright, Dark Ritual changes things because we can make a lot of plays right now, but the opponent's going to be slamming Necro soon, and we just haven't done enough to pressure them. And this game would be looking a lot different with even just 1 or 2 more creatures in play, but this is going to allow us to put 2 creatures into play, and opting for Sleeper here because it can threaten to attack as a 2/2, which will throw off the blocks they might want to make. And so opponent slams Necro and doesn't go too deep. They just try to refill their hand. Yeah, so they get the full 5. Go up to 7 cards. We already know they have a Fatal Push. Another Dark Ritual is actually really clutch. We have to do it first main phase. We can't sort of bluff a Sleeper activation if we also want to cast our other 1-drops. So, and yeah, so we want to play Sleeper, play Gutterbones, and we're going to attack in. Like I said, couldn't get real sneaky with like the combat activations because we needed to get our threats into play. Feeling a lot better now, especially since they just chumped that, and we want to chew up their life total as fast as possible, because then Necro will be lock them out of cards. Now Shieldred is tough because that's going to start putting us on the clock, and it's just an absolute brick wall against what we're trying to do. A second Swamp's pretty nice because we can get one of the sleepers into a Death Toucher. I think about it for a bit here, and knowing that they're on Necro, I decide just to send everyone in. They only have one good, well, they have a great block and then like a trade, and decide we gotta just get them right now. So gonna go ahead and activate Evolve Sleeper to. It's more mana efficient to turn that one to a Death Toucher right now and then start leveling up the other one later. So we drop them to 5, and Shieldred's a bit of a non-bowl with Necropotence because you stop drawing cards, so they're not gaining more life. But they just slam a Phyrexian Obliterator, which is gonna do. It's gonna completely halt our plans, even with our little fancy death touching we have going on. Deep-Cavern Bat is actually amazing. Like, we know it could just get Fatal Pushed immediately here, but then we see they have a backup Fatal Push, so it's not gonna end well. Like, we're forcing him to burn a push on our Bat, but honestly, we would like the Bat to stay around because it has lifelink and it can actually go over the top of their creatures. The opponent sends in with the Obliterator, and we're just gonna have to take it, and this is where Shieldred's clock is gonna start messing with this right here. And they already have, they're sitting on like a Fatal Push. Yeah, so they're just gonna go ahead and do it right now. We don't even have enough mana to turn our guy into a Death Toucher. Now Orcish Bowmasters is a really strong draw right here. The opponent can't really comfortably draw cards. Yeah, and so they're gonna try and close out the game. But Bowmasters gives us a unique opportunity here to set up some blocks and maybe possibly rip something for a counterattack win. So I'm like setting up a block right here, but what I neglect to realize is that if we take 5 off the Obliterator, we are dead on our draw step because of Shieldred. And so this is me carefully mathing out how to survive, but forgetting that Shieldred's just going to kill us on our draw step anyway. So we've already functionally lost, but it was a very close game. Once again, I don't think this was that. It all comes back to that opening hand keep. I don't think should have kept that one. It's a close call though. Now we snap off this hand. No rituals. We do have an Inquisition, which is nice, and we could see immediately that we're playing a control deck. Happy to get rid of Swords to Plowshare since most of our threats are recursive. We want them hitting the graveyard. We also see a Supreme Verdict in their hand. The opponent Island Cycles a Lorien Revealed. Then we rip a Deep-Cavern Bat, which is excellent. It's going to allow us to lock up the Wrath and hopefully close out the game before they can unlock it. That's the whole danger with Deep-Cavern Bat. You know, it's a really strong tempo play, but the opponent can do like an Uno reverse on you eventually. So we play the land. Deciding about putting Lurrus into hand right here. End up setting an upkeep stop for the opponent right here because we want to play Bowmasters in case they play any card draw like Brainstorm or Consider. Decide, instead of doing it on their upkeep, we're going to do it now because they can't counter or memory lapse. Like they could Stern Scolding us, but I was trying to minimize the ways they could counter Bowmasters because it's very strong against them and their card draw spells. And the opponent shocks in Sacred Foundry in order to kill Bowmasters. So we could see how threatening they consider, and they go ahead and Island Cycle or their Lorien Revealed. So their opponent's on just all lands. You would think they maybe would have kept one of the Lorien Revealeds, but maybe they have like packing tons of Snapcaster Mages, you know, to get them back, and they're just relying on the heart of the cards, I guess. But yeah, we're gonna attack in. Dark Ritual almost lets us put Lurrus into our hand and cast it just short, but we're gonna put Lurrus into hand, and we have some juicy targets already with Bowmasters down there. Now this is a race against the clock because they have a lot of ways to unlock their Supreme Verdict, this is me agonizing over sequencing, seeing if there's like a better way to do it. Because we want to Lurrus, Dark Ritual, and cast Orcish Bowmasters. I was just trying to think if there's some way to play around counter magic with them, but it didn't really appear to be, so eventually do that. We want to do it pre-combat to grow the army before the attacks there. So opponent falls to 7. Time Warp. A little bit scary because any 1-mana removal, any Lightning Bolt or Swords will unlock their Supreme Verdict. Opponent has another Time Warp. And getting a little worried at this point. Brainstorm. The opponent dug pretty deep right there and didn't find anything. We managed to sneak away with that win. We were on a razor's edge for a while. So we keep this hand. Double Bowmasters feels pretty great, and the opponent's going to lead with double Mishra's Bauble. Going to crack one main phase and hold up the other one. Alright, so that card is revealed. It's a Phyrexian Tower. I love playing a one of Phyrexian Tower in my black decks. Some decks, honestly, merit more of them. Right, so opponent's cracking the other Bauble. And we see Consider, One Ring, and Uro. Now, yeah, it's hard to say what I end up taking the One Ring here just because of the power it represents. Like, we do have Bowmasters, so maybe like that makes One Ring sort of ineffective. But the other thing is that with Inquisition we can take Uro. That was sort of the rationale also. And maybe it's better to Bowmasters right now and then punish the Uro's card draw, so hard to say exactly. Sorry about the game audio. I don't know why in the recordings it gets a little wonky sometimes after a certain amount of time, but we're going to grab Uro right here. And opponent has a Sheoldred in hand now, which is important to know. I'm going to go and play Phyrexian Tower. And the opponent has Drown on the Lock up, and we have some cards in our graveyard, so we're going to go just put Lurrus into hand, not let them get any free value off us. Alright, so opponent plays Sheoldred the Apocalypse. And it's going to start dinging us for our card draw. We draw another Inquisition. Seems like a good... we could go double Bowmasters. Decide, want to just get rid of that counter/kill spell that could potentially... that could kill Lurrus right now, so we're going to get rid of Drown on the Lock and slam Lurrus. And eventually we'll be able to start going wild with Bowmasters. However, one thing I didn't quite think through is that by using that discard spell, we've given them the 5th card to escape Uro, which is not great. So the opponent now escapes Uro, gains some life, draws some cards, and we're facing 10 power and 2 of the most powerful creatures in Magic right now. But we have arguably the most powerful creature in Magic on our side. At least pre-nerf. Okay, so Sheoldred's doing her work against us. Worried about the 2 unknown cards right now, so we're going to go ahead and use Deep-Cavern Bat. It's another Uro, which, fine taking it because they can cycle it for some life and some cards. I get mixed up about my land drops right now. And just hold up a Bowmasters. Now things are getting a little dicey. We're sitting at 10 and they have like just a ton of things going on. And Uro's going to help draw them to more action. Alright, so they're going to send in. Now at this point with Uro's card draw trigger in the stack, we're going to flash in Orcish Bowmasters. And I think I make a mistake here. I'm looking at the potential of a multiple block to take down Sheoldred. I think what I should have done is pointed it at the goose, because we have another trigger coming. We have the enter the battlefield trigger and then the card draw trigger from Uro. So we could have taken down the goose and just made them have one less resource. Like, it's not important to hit their life total at this point. It's at this point I realized, like, oh yeah, I should have hit the goose with both those triggers. So that's a little bit of a mistake. We'll have to clean up the goose at some point because of missing that. Now we're definitely going to chump block with Bowmasters because we can recast it with Lurrus, but for some reason block Sheoldred instead of Uro. It's inexplicable. I don't know why. It's 2 extra damage unnecessarily. I don't know if I was seeing green creature and thinking trample. It's just a flat out mistake. But you know, it's not like an extra 2 life matters against Sheoldred, right? So So we unnecessarily fall to 4 right here. And we're going to take 2 on our draw step, which is really bad. Now we fall to 2. However, we have some life linkers on board, and they don't have like a sufficient defense. So we're going to send the life linkers in and just bolster our life a little bit. The opponent gets the free block right here. Okay, but now we can replay Bowmasters off Lurrus and take down the Gilded Goose, which could be a way for them to bank a bunch of life. We want to stop the life gain eventually. And then go ahead and fire off a Deep-Cavern Bat. Like, the opponent doesn't have any cards in hand, and they probably won't keep any cards in hand with how much mana they have. At this point, we're holding on to Takenuma for the channel. Not to mention, another 1/1 lifelink flyer could help us completely negate Shieldred's damage to us on our draw step. Alright, so opponent doesn't even attack with their creatures right now because it's going to get real dicey for them with double Bowmasters in play. If they attack with the Uro, then all of a sudden our army's at 6/6, and we can just trade with the Uro, and they don't have enough cards yet to escape it again. So it feels like we're stabilizing. I'm going to do a trick here and second main phase, use Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice Bowmasters to play Bowmasters. Just get extra damage, extra army amass. But it feels like we're finally clawing back into this game. Opponent draws again. Now Shieldred is going to make it hard to kill them. Like, they're going to gain a lot of life. Uro may also pitch in there. Opponent attacks with just Shieldred. Going to trade with it. Just, we'd love to see it off the battlefield. But opponent has a backup Shieldred, which we honestly are not that worried about with double Bowmasters in play, and the bats covering us as well. So we're going to go ahead and channel Takenuma, see if we can get more fodder for Lurrus. And it's pretty great. We're going to bring a creature to hand, but opponent has seen enough. I just love Lurrus of the Dream Den. It's one of my favorite creatures in all of Magic. It's just super powerful. I mean, that last game showed you right there. Like, we were able to just grind our way back into the game and just not give up. So I love the sort of late game reach Lurrus affords aggro decks. Just an awesome card. Love it so much. And yeah, no, the deck's super fun. Honestly, I feel like we could probably include more Tenacious Underdogs. They just seemed really strong at all times. I would love to go up to more than 2 of them. A little bit of a non-bow we have is running Gutterbones alongside Cult Conscript, because Cult Conscript's recursion only works with non-skeletons dying, so it's in our best interest to reduce the number of skeletons we had. However, I was still acquiring Blood-Soaked Champions through Khans of Tarkir draft, so if you build it yourself, I definitely would put 2 Blood-Soaked Champions in instead of the Gutterbones, and it'll probably be that much better. But there is like fine-tuning you can do with the other aggressive 1-drops available, so it's sort of up to you what you want to do as far as your aggressive creature package. But yeah, let me know in the comments what's your favorite permanent to run alongside Lurrus. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.